Hi everybody, it's Julia here, and I am here with a new process video making a mini album. Each year around this time, like early summer, late spring sort of, I make a mini album using a lot of Instagram photos that I've taken the last few months, and I found them really fun to look through. So I'm going to start by making the cover. And this cover I made with the backing from when I get my photos. So the measurements is based on this random chipboard piece. Yep, that's how we roll. So I'd like to do this is if I'm not sure about the measurements, I score the piece first and then check it out. I like it, and then I cut it up. And Viola is here next to me, and she is snoring. Yeah, she's the cutest ever. Oh. Okay, anyway, so I have these pieces, and I'm going to start by making the cover. And it's so easy to make your own cover. And I have here the one of the papers I'm obsessed with right now. It's cardstock from American Craft. It's called Nickel Wood Grain or Wood Grain Cardstock in Nickel. I don't know. Anyway, I have just taken a dry brush with gesso and brushed that on top of it to get that sort of driftwood effect. Gluing that on, I'm going to use multi-matte medium, and I just put that on and use a palette knife to sort of smooth it out a bit. And I'm going to do that with all of the pieces, spacing them out a little bit. This just to make it easier to bend later. You could use double-sided tape or sort of whatever you like. I find that this multi-medium is really great. It's as long as you don't take on too much, because then it will wet the paper and it will buckle. But sometimes the tape is just not enough. But that depends just on your preference. I had multi-matte medium and I didn't have enough tape, so yeah. Well, I did have enough tape. I found that out later when I was gluing on the papers. Moving on. So I'm just making sure that the paper doesn't buckle, so I'm trying to smooth it out. Then I'm going to trim around the edges, leaving about 2.5 centimeters of paper around so I can fold it up. And like I said, this is really easy. It's just like when you dress a book, really. When you dress the book for schools, you cut off the corners and then where it folds in the spine, like that. And then you fold it. Yep, that's all you do. So it is really easy to make your own cover. When this is done, oh yeah, I'm just going to take something to score it. This is going to make it easier to score it, to make it even. And also if you have cardstock or thicker paper, it will fold up more nicely or neatly. But like I said, it's optional. You don't have to do that. Also, when this is done, I'm just going to take a piece of paper a bit smaller and then dress it on the inside so it will look nice on the inside too. So just sort of folding it, I'm going to use a wet glue later to attach these folds. And the the pro with using tape is that it sticks down right away, but also with tape it can come undone if it's not like strong enough. So here you can see I used the same glue, multi-medium, and then I'm going to take it's very prepared this some paper clips and then clip them down. Now the con or the backside of using it is a really great way, but it also means that the paper is typically a bit wet or soft because I've used a wet glue, and then using these clips can make marks on the paper because it is, I mean, it can make marks even if the paper is dry. So if you just don't want these marks, I don't really care, but if you really don't want that, then either use different clips so you don't use these ones that leave marks, or just put paper in between so the marking comes on like a scrap piece of paper and not on your project. Anyway, so when that is done, I'm probably watching a movie while I'm doing this. Yeah, so I'm going to do that, and here you can see a photo when it's done, and I have the measurements. So it's 15 by 11 and a half, Two of those, and then one there is 1.7 centimeters, and that's where it looks when it's done. Now we're going to move on to the inner pages, and I have that here. So it's 12 by 12 piece of paper and just cut in half sort of, and then folded. And I started out with 4, I've made 4, and then I made 2 more. So I'm going to talk about that. Okay, so I have made the cover, and I made that, you saw that, and on my blog every measurements will be. So I decided to go ahead and make my pages, and I will put the measurements down below, and they are in centimeters, and of course you can make them fit you. I just made sort of what was easiest. So here is how they're going to look. And I have here one I haven't made because my battery is sort of bad in my camera. So what I did, I just put it, I think it's about full length and then scored. So it's about 4 inches here, I think, and 4 there. This one is a bit shorter and cut off like just a few millimeters so that it's easy to do that. So what I do then is I will just take a circle punch, and it's about center there, about, yep. And then I will just stitch here, and I will stitch just because I want the stitching. And I found when making mini albums and doing pockets, when you do it with tape, things can get stuck on the tape because it's never really dry, and the glue that does dry sometimes buckle if you use too much, or it doesn't work if you use too little. So this is how they look. So yeah, so I have cut out some papers from the 6x6 paper pad and also some other paper, 12 by 12 size, and they are not, I'm just going to use whatever. So yeah, so I'm going to do that while my battery is loading, and when I have sewn the pages and going to start assembling the mini album after I put the papers on, and I come back when it's going to assemble it and then decorate it, okay? Okay, so we're going to start by binding this book, and I punched 2 holes in the spine, as you can see here, and then just put eyelets in there. In the signatures I made before, I just put some twine in between and then pull the twine through the holes, and that's it. That is how you bind it. Then when you have all of those, in how many pages you want, you just flip it around and then tie a knot on it. It's that easy to make this binding book. Yeah, so I hope you want to give this a try. It's really, really easy. You can make it how hard or how easy you want. Last year I made it with envelopes, so I just took like a regular size envelope and then fold that in half and put that in. This year I just took cardstock and made like a pocket and then a flip. But yeah, I mean, you can make it really, really easy just taking cardstock and folding it in half and putting in here, or you can make some really advanced pocket thingy and put that in here. But the actual binding of this book is really easy. If you don't like or don't want to make your own cover, which is really easy, you can use like an old book cover. That would be pretty neat to do that. I really like the cover and the binding here because it sort of adds some texture without being too much, depending on what you want to use. So last year I had some gold ribbon, and that was a bit fidgeting to tie that because gold ribbon was hard to tie, but this was really easy. So all I do is tie 2 strands together. They don't need to be tied with like the significant other of the tie. Just as long as you sort of keep the book sort of, I try to keep it centered, and so that the pages sort of line up together. It's not that fussy, but yeah. So that is all. I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to pull out my embellishments for this project, I decided to go with the bloom. As you can see, I've used the bloom papers. First, I was going to go with the Stella V collection by Pink Paisley, but when I started this, I was like, I'm going to go with the bloom anyway. You know, Maggie Holmes, you can't go wrong with that. And because it turned out to be a bigger project than I intended, I started out with 4 pages of signatures and then turned it out to 6. So here you can see them. I used the inner pocket white just because, and yeah, I really like it. So I'm going to start decorating and I'm going to catch up later. So you have seen how I started decorating this, and it's really intuitive, sort of move on, keep it going sort of way. If I don't feel like I know what I'm going to do, I just swap the page and start over. These sentiment stickers from Tim Holmes are absolutely brilliant. They are very, very good, and I just ordered a new pack. So yeah. The thing here, I try just to make it fun and make it pretty, and yeah, I write quite a lot on my tags later, and I feel like that's enough. I just want to make it pretty and make it fun. So that's what I'm thinking. I try not to like have this pressure it needs to be something or have a lot of journaling on the pages, because there is quite small pages. So I'm just going to take a photo and then make some fun on the other side. This actually turned out to be one of my favorite pages with Viola. I'm going to use, you can see the die cut up in the right hand corner. It's a heart out of pink paper, and it's a heart like punched out. I'm going to use that on this page to sort of frame one of the birds. Yeah, it's really cute. I don't know if that is on this footage. I hope it is. It was a brilliant idea. Yep, here we go. And I'm like, yes, that's a brilliant idea. um, Speaking of the devil, here she comes. She stopped snoring. Yay. So I'm just going to put XOXO Viola. No, she's just guarding me. Yeah. So that gold, I'm going to use that and also a sticker XOXO. And yeah. So that's sort of how I thought making the process with decorating the album. I'm going to show you the last few pages here. Adding some journaling. I use a micron pen, and these are really great, but they do take a bit of time to sort of dry. They will smear on this sticker cardstock thingy, just so you know. So when I feel like I'm sort of done with the album, I'm going to go back and write on all of the tags. And for this one example, I'm writing about me and my sister just having lunch in town at a burger restaurant, which is really, really good. They have like ecological, closely produced cows. I don't know. It's really good anyway. So I'm just writing about that, and that's what I really love making these little albums. I made one last year, like I mentioned before, just with Instagram photos. It doesn't have to be meaningful or have like a story throughout. It just, this is what I'm doing right now, this is how it looks right now, and I really like that. Adding a little sticker and adding the date, and yeah. So after this, there will come a lot of still photos. There's a still for every spread. You can check out on my blog if you want to know the measurements. I know I put that in the video before. More photos and more photos. There's so many photos. I hope you have liked this video. This video is the one I will put out for this week because it was a bit longer. I hope to see you next week on Monday, and until then, have a really great day or week. Bye!